What's up, people? I'm Shaggy, the Opinionated Hippie. Going to talk about a little Led Zeppelin today, live EP, a live EP that they dropped a couple months ago. We're here in late 2025 in honor of the Physical Graffiti 50th anniversary. They also re-released Physical Graffiti on the 50th anniversary, or at least around the 50th anniversary. And in conjunction with that, we get a 4-song live EP. Wasn't going to review this, but I did get a comment very recently from someone who comments a lot. So asking if I had reviewed it. I hadn't. So I thought, you know what? I'm going to do it for this guy because this guy comments all the time. So thank you for the inspiration. Not going to get into the sort of weeds of why the only thing we're getting on the 50th anniversary of Physical Graffiti are 4 songs on an EP. So that's a topic for another video or another day or somebody else to complain about in the comments. I'm just going to talk about what we do have. Led Zeppelin is not one of those that is oversaturating the market with live material, unfortunately. So when we get it, we appreciate it. And I have listened to this quite a bit, though, to be honest. I've mostly listened to 3 of the 4 songs and not listened to the 4th song all too often. But yeah, I'm going to talk about this, not play music from it. And then just, definitely recommend it because it's live Led Zeppelin. But yeah, all right, let's get on with this. I think all of this material is available elsewhere on a Led Zeppelin DVD that came out a while back, right? Like 10, 15 years ago. I think this is when the Led Zeppelin DVD came out. I don't have that. I'm not much of a DVD person as far as watching stuff, but I do believe this stuff was all previously released in video form. It's just not released as a CD or as an LP or in strictly audio form. So now we have it in strictly audio form. So it's 4 songs, 2 of them from 1975, Earl's Court, 2 of them from 1979, Knebworth. The Earl's Court, the 75 releases, sound pretty fantastic. They're very little audience in there. Just the way they sound, the way Bonham's drums just almost like, especially on the first track, just almost like surround the listener. And it feels like the other 3 are just kind of in this little like womb of drums, just playing one of the purest, cleanest performances of the song, the opening track. The Knebworth songs, unfortunately, you kind of get the air of Knebworth. You get the stage. There's a distance to the recording. Having those 2 go second after the first 2, it really is, you notice the drop in quality. It's almost like you wish they, even though chronologically, obviously 75 precedes 79, you almost wish they were reversed so that it gets better as the album goes on and not worse. But it's not horrible sound. It's just you notice a decrease in the sound. Opens up with In My Time of Dying, which I think is the highlight of these 4 songs easily. Jimmy Page is on slide almost the entire time. Super nasty slide playing. Everything about this performance. Plant sounds good. Bonham sounds good. John Paul Jones sound good. But really, it's the slide guitar playing, I think, for me, that absolutely carries this. It's absolutely fantastic. The sound is amazing on this. There are times when you hear the crowd kind of come through. I think a couple of times after Page rips off a solo, that crowd noise comes in. But for the most part, it really is just like there's something very like honed in about this performance. It doesn't have like an early Zeppelin manic, crazy, kind of frayed energy. It is very clean. It feels in Zeppelin terms, but at the same time, that just lends a focus and an intensity and just like you really, I don't know, it just highlights the playing more so, I think, the mix. It's kind of, it's like 11 plus minutes. It's kind of makes the entire EP worth it. The EP is 34 minutes long, which is longer than like elsewhere on this channel. I'm about to drop videos on Creedence Clearwater Revival and Van Halen. 34 minutes is as long, if not longer, than several Creedence Clearwater albums and several Van Halen albums. So this is an EP, but it is, could be a full-length album for other artists. So In My Time of Dying just nails the opening. Fantastic. Kind of makes the entire thing worthwhile. These are all Physical Graffiti tracks, by the way, 50th anniversary, whatnot. Second song, also from Earl's Court, is Trampled Underfoot. Really nice jammed out version of this. We get a nice John Paul Jones organ solo in there. We get a Page solo. We get some nice back and forth where you can kind of hear them kind of playing off each other and jamming. Of course, Bonham sounds absolutely fantastic through this whole thing. The ending of it is very playful, kind of Plant on the mic, kind of playing around vocally and the band sort of responding. There's some of that little sort of start and stop type jammy nature in this. The only problem, and it's they stretch it out to like 9 minutes. It's like almost double its length. The only problem with this is they kind of rush the tempo a little bit. And this is a song, you kind of want it to slow down a little so we can just kind of like soak in that funk. So you can let the funk of this just kind of, And I think that's a little bit lacking. It's like they rush it a little bit too much. It's got live energy that the live energy kind of dilutes the power of the song. And I do think just the sort of slower tempo of the studio versions just like hits a little bit harder. And while this is, a well played, jammed out, awesome performance, the tempo does kind of like lose a little bit of that awesomeness. And I do think this might be the instance where if we had the complete show and we can get Trampled Underfoot in context of what was played before and after it, it might make it work a little better. Here, after pretty much being handed a near perfect In My Time of Dying, in which like all aspects of it worked, this does feel like rushed. Like it's just like we're not going to seep in any intensity as just like rich as In My Time of Dying. So let's kind of tear our way through this. Not complain. I mean, I am complaining, but ultimately I'm not. I like this performance. It's great. The jamming in the middle is fantastic. It's awesome to hear John Paul Jones go off. So no complaints really about the performance. I wish this was a song that in 75 they played a little bit slower. So 2 of the better sounding tracks, probably 2 of the better performed tracks, the 275 tracks. Then we get 279 tracks from Knebworth, in which the sound noticeably different from the beginning, really in just the distance. It almost feels like you are in Knebworth and, the band is out there, kind of get the sort of environment of it. Opens up, the first of the 2 tracks is Sick Again. Not going to discuss the lyrics of this. We're not going to discuss the lyrics of this. Rock and roll means well, but it can't help telling young boys lies, as Drive By Truckers once said. Sick again. It's one of those in which grown men are sick again when it comes to their fans and what they want to do with them. So we won't talk about that anymore. But this is a great hard rocker. Music-wise, it kills. Bonham sounds huge on this. Just devastates the landscape. Absolutely amazing performance. I'm not going to say he saves the song, but I think he is the highlight of the song. Really nice energy. Jimmy Page's solo is a little bit like the live versus the studio aspect of like, where he overlays so many guitars in the studio and, you got rhythm and lead and all these things piled up on each other. That when you get a performance like this, where it's just Jimmy, sometimes that thinness of his guitar playing, especially in 79, right? Where it's not just this ferocious tear, where it's like he's not even thinking, he's just spitting out licks and riffs and solos and lines. The solo's a little, but I think Bonham more than makes up for it. The energy of the song is good. It's a nice, solid performance. Pretty straightforward performance of Sick Again, other than just the great live energy. And then the last song, and it's almost like probably just mandatory that they put this on, which maybe seems more like fan service than actual like hardcore fan service, is We Get a Cashmere. And I want to say, this is one of those songs. There are, with a lot of hard rock bands, when you have that epic song, The Who are another one. Won't Get Fooled Again. There are very few Won't Get Fooled Again's live versions that can compare to the studio version. There are very few, if any, live versions of Kashmir that can compare to the studio version. John Paul Jones doing his best to have that sort of string orchestral power, energy, sinisterness, just that underlying sense of like mystery that the studio version has, kind of gets lost in translation in the live version. But this is another instance where I think Bonham absolutely like saves this song. He provides the energy, the momentum. There are weird little rhythmic like breaks or transitions in the different parts of the song that almost seem like they're faltering, but they're not. And Bonham is there to like make it work and make it interesting. And over the course of the song, it's a pretty straightforward Kashmir. There are pockets that really work and moments that really work and Bonham fills that really work. But I don't know. Kashmir is one of those songs that live just, it was probably much better to be there in person and experience it than to, because it's the volume, right? Just the sheer volume of it, the loudness of it will, you can feel it in your rib cage. But here, it's just one of those songs. It makes me want to go listen to the studio version anytime I hear a live version of this. So, yeah. So it's an interesting little EP. I mean, it is 34 minutes. You get like an 11-minute song, a 10-minute song, a 9-minute song, and then a 5.5-minute song. So these are long performances. I would say it's kind of worth it for the In My Time of Dying and Trampled Underfoot. It would be awesome if there's an entire 75, and I know there are hardcore Zeppelin bootleg people who know whether this stuff exists, but a complete show from Earl's Court in 75, like that would have been the release The Who would have done, or Zappa would have done, or other bands. We're re-releasing Physical Graffiti. Let's drop an entire show from that tour. Led Zeppelin. Is that happening? Let's drop an entire show from this tour. Let's hear these songs in context, because what we got here, I believe these were from 2 different dates. I think they did 2 shows back to back. I think In My Time of Dying is from the first show. Trampled Underfoot is from the second show. Both show, I mean, they're recorded. Can we get a 4 CD set of both these shows, or a 3 CD set? I don't know how long those shows are. But anyways, it's promise. It's hopeful. Oh, I wrote it in my notes. It was a 2003 DVD release. So that had live material, and I believe all this was on that. But anyways, those are my thoughts on this. I have popped this on quite a bit. I do enjoy it just because I think those first 2 tracks are pretty fantastic, and they're kind of worth revisiting this well often. But yeah, that's about all I got. It's only 4 songs. I don't think it changes the game or changes the conversation. I don't think it's an absolute must own, but if you do get it, 2 of the tracks are absolutely pretty great rides. All right. Yeah, those are my thoughts. That's all I got. Thanks. All right. Peace. Talk to you later.